The rain was coming down hard the night everything changed. The kind of rain that makes the city feel smaller and lonelier, as if every street light is holding its breath. Red and blue lights painted the wet asphalt when the female police officer stepped closer, her presence calm but unyielding, and told me she needed to search my body. In that suspended moment, with my hands cold and my past heavier than the storm clouds above, something reckless and hopeful rose in me at the same time. And I answered with a half-smile that surprised even me, wondering aloud if after all this she might want to go out with me. It was absurd and honest and terrified all at once, because sometimes when life corners you, truth spills out before fear can stop it. Before the story pulls you any deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one moment can change everything, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. My name is Daniel Carter, and until that night, my life had been a careful balance between moving forward and being haunted by what I couldn't erase. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, raised in a church where hymns echoed through wooden pews and where my mother believed that goodness once planted never truly died. But life doesn't always grow straight. A bad crowd in my early 20s, one foolish decision involving a stolen car I never should have touched. And suddenly I had a record that followed me like a shadow. I served my time, paid my dues, and promised God and myself that I would never return to that version of me. Still, the world has a way of reminding you of who you used to be, even when you've worked hard to become someone better. That night, I had just finished a late shift at a warehouse on the edge of town. Honest work, long hours, and blistered hands were my new routine, and I wore them like a badge of redemption. I was driving home tired and thinking about nothing more than a hot shower when the patrol car lights flashed. Behind me, my stomach dropped in a way it hadn't in years. Old fear doesn't vanish, it waits. I pulled over, heart pounding, praying silently as rain drummed against the roof. She approached with a measured confidence that spoke of discipline and compassion learned the hard way. Her name, I would later learn, was Officer Emily Reynolds. She had kind eyes that didn't rush to judgment, but they missed nothing. There had been a report of a vehicle matching mine near a recent incident, and procedure demanded caution. When she told me she needed to conduct a search, it wasn't threatening, just firm. And yet, it cracked open every insecurity I'd buried. I felt exposed, not just physically, but as a man whose past could still define him in an instant. As she followed protocol, my thoughts raced through memories of courtrooms, apologies, and the nights I knelt beside my bed asking for forgiveness and a chance to start over. I wanted her to see me, not my file, not the mistakes etched into databases. Somewhere, the words about asking her out slipped from me, not as a flirtation, but as a strange declaration of faith, a way of saying I believed in normal futures and human connection, even here on the side of a rain-soaked road. She paused, not startled, but thoughtful. There was no laughter, no anger, just a brief moment where the professional barrier softened into something human. The search concluded without issue. I was cleared, free to go, and left sitting there with embarrassment burning my cheeks and hope flickering in my chest. As she walked back to her car, I assumed that was the end of it. Another awkward memory to file away. But life, when it chooses to be merciful, often surprises you quietly. Days passed, and I returned to my routine. Work, church on Sunday, helping my neighbor Mr. Thompson fix his fence, proving to myself that redemption wasn't a one-time event, but a daily choice. Yet, that night lingered. I replayed it while stacking boxes or washing dishes, wondering if I'd crossed a line or simply revealed a piece of myself I usually kept hidden. A week later, I stopped at a small diner near the warehouse, a place where the coffee was strong, and the waitresses called everyone honey. As I slid into a booth, still in my work jacket, I noticed her at the counter out of uniform, hair pulled back casually, looking like any other tired person grabbing a late meal. Emily recognized me, too. And this time, there was no flashing lights, no rain, no authority between us, just two people sharing the same space. We talked, not in dramatic confessions, but in careful ordinary sentences that slowly built trust. I told her about my job, my church, my mistakes, and the lessons that came from them. She told me about growing up in Indiana, about why she chose law enforcement after her brother struggled with addiction and the system failed him. She believed in protecting people, not punishing them forever. Listening to her felt like standing near a warm fire after a long winter. Dating her was not easy. Being with a police officer meant constant reminders of the world I had narrowly escaped. There were nights when her shift ran late, when she came home quiet and heavy with things she couldn't unsee. There were moments when my record complicated things. When side glances from colleagues or background checks stirred old shame. I struggled with the fear that I would never fully belong in her world. That one mistake, past or present, could pull everything apart. Emily struggled, too. Loving someone with a record meant defending choices to friends, answering unspoken questions, and trusting her heart against statistics and warnings. Yet, she did it with grace, leaning on faith, believing that people were more than their worst days. We prayed together before meals, attended church hand in hand, and learned that love is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. The turning point came the night I attended a community event at her precinct. Invited to share my story, as part of a rehabilitation outreach program. Standing there, hands shaking, I spoke about failure, accountability, and the quiet dignity of second chances. I saw officers nodding, some skeptical, others moved. I saw Emily in the back, eyes shining, pride and relief written across her face. In that moment, I understood that my past didn't disqualify me from purpose. It prepared me for it. As the months passed, our lives intertwined more deeply. We learned to celebrate small victories like her promotion and my acceptance into a night course for logistics management. We learned to forgive quickly, to listen more than we spoke, and to remember that love is an action practiced daily. The city that once felt cold and judgmental slowly became a place of shared memories of coffee runs after long shifts and quiet walks through neighborhoods we served together in different ways. Just before the ending of this story, I want to ask you something special. If you're watching and you believe people can change, please comment below with one word that represents hope to you. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. The night Emily said yes to marrying me, there were no sirens, no storms, just a soft evening breeze and a simple ring I'd saved months to afford. We stood outside the church where my mother once prayed for my future. And I realized that the moment on the roadside, awkward and frightening as it was, had been the doorway to a life I never thought I deserved. God's grace had met me in unformed authority and turned it into partnership and love. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness can grow in the most unexpected places, please like this video, share it with someone who feels defined by their past, and let us know in the comments how it made you feel. Your engagement tells us these stories matter. In the end, my life wasn't transformed by a bold line or a clever moment, but by two people choosing to see each other clearly beyond fear and history. And sometimes that's all it takes for redemption to finally feel.